And so here we are back in the Titans route. At least with Scirocco, we'll have a more interesting selection of machines. That being two of them, apparently. How does he only have two?
Let's go.
Expanded routes, I've seen Scirocco with the Palace Athene and the Bolanoak Samahan, and... But I guess here we are in the Masala. It's fine, it works great.
Right,
basically a transforming gun tank in this game. Hard to argue with that.
Don't forget where we are, or the gravity.
Kakarkon, just ate a rocket. Oh my god, he's just raring to go, isn't he? To the afterlife. I know I brought up the transformation detail of the Masala where the arms have to physically detach from the body and attach to the pods during the transformation. Because I remember going into how the Valkyrie does that with the legs, but the models don't, because they can't. Because people would accuse it of parts forming, even though it technically isn't. Yes, I'm trying to get in close with an artillery-style mobile suit. And no, it's not working. And we don't even get the full Masala arsenal here. It's got grenade launchers in its forearms too, and claws. Can't both melee? So, okay, here comes the thing. Since Newtype research has been accelerated, is Scirocco going to enter the gravity well or not? I mean, probably not. Well, he made a big deal about not doing it. Like I said, like it would diminish him somehow. Oh no, I guess we're just going to Jaburo. Cool.
Let's go.
I'm sure the Masala would work under the atmosphere. Well, not really the atmosphere issue, it's the gravity. I mean, yes, it was intended to maneuver in, like, Jupiter gravity, but we're talking, like, Jupiter low orbit, not actually inside the... Because that's the thing with Jupiter, is that Jupiter is... If it had a little more energy, it would actually be a red dwarf. So Jupiter would be a star and not a planet. I mean, it's almost like at some weird Goldilocks point for it to not be a star. Like, if it had a little bit of less mass or a little bit more energy, and it would be a star. We'd have a red dwarf in the system, which would actually be kind of cool. But that's the thing, you can't, like, be inside of Jupiter because it's got so much energy and so much gravity and so much pressure. Unless we forget that once you go deep enough in Jupiter, you end up in an environment of metallic hydrogen, which only exists in the kinds of, like, pre-fusion conditions that a planetoid the size and gravity of Jupiter could create. Oh my god, yeah, the melee on the Masala's really unresponsive. It sucks. At least it has a melee, it's more than I can say for the gun tank. He's just gonna disappear at some point. Oh yeah, he's poof out of existence. Yeah, you need a lot of energy to sort of maneuver in a Jupitran orbit because you're just dealing with more gravity than you would on Earth. It's kind of the reason why we could make an orbital space elevator on the moon without needing like carbon nanofluorine metamaterials, because the moon has so little gravity you can honestly just make it out of Kevlar. Earth just represents a bit of a gravitational problem. It's not like we can complain about that gravitational problem because we exist to occupy this particular environment and atmosphere. If it wasn't the way it is, could human life have existed? Would we be some other strange form of being? I mean, I always make that point. People talk about colonize Mars, Mars to stay. You gotta run before you can walk, bruh.
Everything's going as planned.
We don't even have colonies on the moon. It's about as hospitable, or inhospitable as Mars. There's no atmosphere for all intents and purposes. I mean, Mars has an atmosphere, but it's incredibly thin. Hell, you'd probably get more solar power on the moon than you would get on Mars, because Mars is further from the sun. So, and like I said, space elevator on the moon, made out of Kevlar. Before you start thinking about flying off to Mars and having your red planet colony, maybe think about space colonies in orbit of Earth. Maybe just think about a lunar base. I mean, we haven't been to the moon in ages. I mean, I get it, that there's like nothing all that interesting up. We got our moon rocks, we took pictures of Earth, la-di-da-di-da. We outpaced the Soviets in the development of that. And there's just not much, you know, lunar for us to do anymore, unless it happens to be a source of helium-3, which could be really, really useful. But the point is that it's a jumping-off point. If you want to colonize more of the solar system, if you want to go out there, the moon is where you start. Because with a space colony, you'd still have to either build all of that stuff in space, you know, fetch the material, the resources, whatever. And if you're building something on the moon, you don't necessarily need as much infrastructure because it's there. You have a rock that you can build on. Build on the rock. Now we gotta run that gauge down before the time runs out. Which does represent a problem because, again, I mean, I could knock a big chunk off the gauge if I can just get Quattro destroyed, but he's tanky. Okay, 2 more hits would probably do it. Yeah. Come on, just give me that last bit off the reinforcement gauge. There we go. That ought to connect. Or not. In a little bit.
You're not getting away. What are you doing?
So many of these transforming MS have rockets that, like, fire upward instead of wherever you're fucking pointing.
Simpleton.
I mean, it's fine in a transformed state, but you can't stay in mobile armor forever. I mean, it's okay during space missions, because you can fire them when your enemy is oriented above your current position, but on a flat playing field, that doesn't really work. So that's honest. This is honestly still the best choice because we have rockets. I suppose we have the rockets here too. You know what? In the interest of building that battle gauge, because I'm probably going to have to spend more points somewhere.
All right, let's go.
Besides, I've sort of made this, Wait, we're not fighting the Psycho Gundam. Oh well, I guess we're just using the Bolonok Samahan. Just an excuse to vary the mobile suits. I mean, honestly, when I saw Kurzgesagt's video on colonizing Venus, I'm like, you know, that could work, because, like, Mars, you'd have to live in arcologies, you know, isolated environments. Terraforming Mars would be difficult, bordering on just impractical. But Venus, sure, it would probably take you like 2,000 years, but, you know, you could make it Earth-like. I mean, unless somebody destroys the mirrors, then you'd have a very, very bad time. But it wouldn't, like, annihilate the planet instantly. Things would get awfully unpleasant, but you could just replace the mirrors probably before things got apocalyptic. So, win! Colonize Venus. The point I often make is that you've got these big tech conglomerate type companies that are now like privatizing spaceflight. You know, we know where there are asteroids or whatnot that would have incredible resources in them. So why all this notion of like, well, how are we going to get there? Well, why would we have to get there? You know, send in the drones, remote operation, AI-driven things, have them build the space colonies and get the asteroids and the whole business. Then you don't have the issue of food or air or accommodations for human beings at such distances or for such durations. Then people start going on about, you know, possible ethical implications because, well, I mean, especially if these machines are intended to be self-replicating, you run into that whole von Neumann probe problem about what happens when the machines just decide to make more of themselves indefinitely and not do what they're supposed to do. What happens if they come under the control of a sentient entity?
Everything's going as planned.
It's like, well, something's got to give, or we're just not going to leave the planet. You know, not in any meaningful way, not to live somewhere else. Something's got to give. Oh boy, partner destroyed. Well, we're going to have to bust out the O anyway, because the next mission is the one where we have to do thing. And while I don't think we have to do the thing, because we already unlocked it, so it should just play out, it still would be nice to accomplish the thing.
Let's go.
Well, Jared's already in his late game machine, so what the hell?
The goal of Operation Apollo is to seize control of Von Braun. This city is a
That's what I noticed with the O's beam in this game, is that it hits hard, but beam travel time is just slow.
getting alert of the Titan.
Okay, block is the sub-weapon button. God damn it, Jared. Can you be a piece of shit somewhere else?
We're within Von Braun City's airspace. Send out the Turbo-Skiers mobile suit. Not bad.
Oh, Camille is in play. That was too steep of an angle. Oh ho ho! Never stop moving. Mobility is life.
We're going to head straight there with this ship.
I mean, I think the biggest structure we have in space remains the International Space Station. Even that's sort of becoming something that's subject to neglect, like, oh, it's a laboratory in space, and we continue to use it as such. Cool. But, you know, where's the space industry? Where's the real, you know... Great, I'm friendly firing Jared because he won't piss off.
Everything's going as planned.
Okay, so here's where we bust
All
out
right,
Assault
let's go.
and get her done.
All right, let's go. Follow me.
Yeah, I mean, I get a gap plate. Where's the Palace Athene? We've seen Scirocco use it in the other routes. So, I get a Bullonook somehow, and I get a gap plate. I don't get a Palace Athene? Why? Why is that a thing? Oh, yeah. I could have sworn. Well, that's the weird part, because like Aug looks like it's done.
I'm gonna shoot you down.
Because I went through it and it looks finished. So unless there's something I'm missing, but I swore there was like a double Zeta type thing where you could like more than just operate the double Zeta itself, because we already did that. But you could play Judo. But yeah, that hasn't popped up. So what the... By the way, why, if it's... Because from what I could ascertain from the enunciation, it's meant to be pronounced like Judo, like the martial art. Yet, it was Romanized with an AU at the end. What the fuck? I mean, I looked at the direct Romanization, it wasn't directly Romanized that way, so who screwed the pooch on the localization there? Okay, well, there's Char.
What are you doing?
Oh, great, Zeta.
Zeta Gundam, Camille, let's do it!
It's the Zeta.
Come center, Camille. Get over here. I'll take the hit just to get him center.
What are you doing?
Whoa. Yeah.
Win. You're not getting away. You're not getting away.
Yeah, I got big VO vibes with Cerevi and Double O, because it's got every cannon is also a manipulator and it can hold 6 beam sabers at the same time. Like, that's kind of cool. I don't want to pop the assault just yet.
Let's go.
Let's go!
You're not getting away.
Oh, he's already trying to bail. Well, that's that. Operation Apollo has been a success, and in the next video we can follow through on that with another route. Mind you, of course, Cerevi is not nearly as chonky as this thing.
Simpleton. Everything's going as planned.
That head looks like an Armored Core head. It just does. Like one of the radar-equipped heads. Oh, and a Hanbrabi. No Palace Athene yet. Interesting. By interesting, I mean, why no Palace Athene yet? That just doesn't make sense.
Let's go.
Using it in all the other routes, and yet here, no, you don't get to have fun with that.
All right, let's go. Follow me.
mean, I know I've probably already mentioned this before, but I checked like among the sort of pre-HD Armored Core games, what was people's favorite, and everybody's like Armored Core 2, and it's like Armored Core 2, 3 was so much better than 2. Why would you prefer 2? Like, the graphics in 3 were crisper. I like the designs more. I mean, I'll understand that that's maybe a personal preference thing. But there's also stuff like you don't have Broken Human Plus in 3. Because you need a special machine part which prevents you from equipping any other optional parts, because it doesn't take up a fixed amount of slots, it just takes up all of your slots. And to unlock the special functions, you actually have to complete optional objectives in missions with the part equipped, which means that you have to replay those missions, so you earn your H+ upgrades. Whereas in Armored Core 2, you basically just lose a mission with a high level of indebtedness. You suck hard enough that the game takes pity on you and gives you like a game-breaking upgrade. And then you can repeat that for more game-breaking upgrades. And then there's how like 3 dealt with overweight cores, because you know, in 2, you could unlock overweight cores as something that you could have. Otherwise, you just couldn't have them at all. But in 3, you could always use an overweight core with a massive mobility penalty and a massive energy generation penalty. But the thing is, you also had the ability to drop weapon systems off your core and pick them up again. So you could go into a battle with more equipment than you could reasonably carry, drop something, like, fight it out, and then once you ran out of ammunition on, like, a shoulder cannon or something, drop that instead and pick up the thing you dropped in the first place. Like, so much more depth in 3, and so much better balance to people. Oh, we prefer Armored Core 2. I'm not going to compare them story-wise, because Armored Core stories are vague. Like, what even happened in 2? Oh, the corporations are competing, which is standard affair for Armored Core, for those who don't know. And one of the corporations that's behind on Earth is taking the lead on Mars, but the Martian government is trying to prevent this corporate espionage and so forth from complicating the terraforming agenda. And then a bunch of mercs come in, the Frighteners, who take over, and basically the leader is literally Scirocco, where he just wants to be the king of Mars, and appropriates all this alien technology that how in the fuck did he even know it was there? I mean, there's some implication that the Martian government was aware of it and had hoped to capitalize it for their own sakes, but if that's the case, why did they hire the mercenaries in the first place? It's full of plot holes. Now, 3, on the other hand, this notion that the AI is turning the subterranean environments hostile because it has some massive glitch or error. And then you find out in the end that the AI isn't actually glitching or having an error at all. It's that the surface has normalized, but people don't want to leave the subterranean environment, even though it's sort of like past its ability to sustain them. So it starts to deliberately shut itself down, but doesn't tell anybody because it's trying to coerce them to go. I mean, there was a whole episode of Outer Limits that did the same thing. There was a whole science fiction movie, the title of which is escaping me, that did the same thing. Like, that's kind of a classic science fiction story, whereas Armored Core 2 was just, what the fuck is happening in this game right now? Frighteners and the LCC and the fucking get out of here. But no, Armored Core 3 is the preferred. I do not understand. I don't. And whoever came up with H+ is bad at game design. I mean, you could argue that it's a self-imposed challenge to complete the game without activating any of the special H+ features. However, the fact that you're rewarded with extra abilities in-game, not through any accomplishment on your end, but through demerits, like fucking up so incredibly hard, usually deliberately, because people know that H+ exists, that you're rewarded for that? Like, what the fuck? Like I said, AC3 didn't do that. It didn't. You have to earn your special functions. And even when you've earned them, there's still a trade-off, because like I said, you can't equip any other optional parts.
Everything's going as planned.
And then, of course, Armored Core 4 came out, and the name became a bit of a misnomer because you're not actually piloting Armored Cores anymore, are you? You're piloting Nexts. And you're not a Raven anymore, you're a Lynx. I mean... like, why? Why?
I'm launching.
Suddenly the tactical experience goes out the window because now you're basically piloting a super robot. In-universe as well, because there are still armored cores, but they've basically taken the role of muscle tracers in the previous games. They're the peon cannon fodder machines now. And then 5 comes out, and, you know, a return to form, happy about that, but... I don't know, I think it got an Americanized version, but you didn't hear that much about it. And I mean, people shouldn't be surprised about like a quality game from Software. I mean, Dark Souls. I mean, I'm pretty sure whether you've played it or not, we've all heard of Dark Souls. Okay, I'm trying to think, because I swear the Dark Souls is a From Software game, but I could be wrong. I could be like crazy for a minute.
What is this? It's really you piloting a super machine. My name is Lieutenant Gonzalo Alonso. My orders are to destroy the Zeta Gundam and terminate its planet. Titan's greatest enemy is mud. Is the Zeta Gundam. You're gonna die. What are you saying, President?
But he's gonna seriously bail. Yes, I will shoot through my teammate to keep him on this map. My god, so durable. Probably still gonna escape because I'm gonna get like friendly fired by the Psycho Gundam or something. Oh no, there we go. Oh, given the size of my hitbox, how did that not connect? The force is strong with this one.
How could I?
God, both named characters.
Everything's going as planned.
The thing I find funny is that everybody goes on and on about, like, core customization in Armored Core, and it's like, do you play BattleTech?
There's no time.
You know, customizing the heat sinks in your machine and having, you know, enough firepower to be worthy of, like, a battleship. Not in the BattleTech universe, because you're talking about dozens of different weapons.
Simpleton. Simpleton.
You know, selecting the precise tonnage, the whole business. I mean, I didn't play any MechWarrior Online. I wasn't able to at the time, and from what I've heard, it has kind of gone off in a way, like the balancing's a little screwed up and nobody seems to be fixing it. I'd love to have gotten a copy of MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries, however, chalk it up another game on the wish list that I just can't afford. So like I could always try to hunt down a copy of MechWarrior 4 Mercs, you know, the whole MechTech thing. Because that was free for a while, and then somebody just decided, like, no, not anymore. For some... It was during one of those acquisitions, because the holders at the time were like, it's free now, go get it. And then all of a sudden they get bought out, and then the new owner's like, oh, it's not free anymore, you can't have any. Thing is, it's the internet, so you know where to look.
Simpleton.
I mean, you're talking about, like, not early 3D, because that would definitely be more like, MechWarrior 2. 3 was... I like the story of 3. I like the fact that you have to protect your, like, mobile armory things to carry more machine parts and more ammo, and to speed up your repairs during the missions. And I honestly like the fact that you get the option to repair your shit during missions. That's usually the big thing with MechWarrior, is that what you deploy with is what you've got. You gotta make that work. And it's not like a round-based type shooter where, oh, you know, round 2. No, if you get your shit rocked in that, like, 10 minutes of the operation, it's over. That was one of the problems with MechWarrior 3, though, is that there were a lot of times where you'd run into, like, an Annihilator with those fucking shotgun autocannons and just get your shit rocked. Knocked over, leg blown off completely, and you're just like, fuck. My favorite mechs from that would be... First of all, anything with wolf in it, usually. Anything, the Timberwolf in all of its forms, you know, the Mad Cat Mark II, which is technically also the Timberwolf. Direwolf, of course, the Daishi. Absolutely devastating. It's got the firepower of an Atlas, but an Atlas, like, maxes out most of its weapons at 9 hexes distance, which is shit. The Direwolf can actually hit targets with that kind of firepower across the fucking map. That's clan tech for you. Honestly, I thought, like, the Mad Cat Mark III was one of the cool ones. Because it was a medium mech take on that, and that's good. And it had a bunch of lasers, which is cool as well, and decent cooling. I didn't like the Mad Cat 2 because they went into assault mech territory, and those things, unless you're a Lyran, those things are very specific in terms of where you want to use them, because you can't maneuver for shit. Then they came up with the Savage Wolf for the Mad Cat Mark IV, which could be charitably described as a crazy person's mech. Anything that uses an XXL fusion core. Gee, what were you thinking? But I also like the Blood Asp, and I like the Burrock, which is also a Star Adder machine that's got like 6 heavy medium lasers, which is also completely batshit crazy. I mean, if you Alpha Strike on that thing, you need to have your head examined. You're just gonna explode.
All right, let's go.
I'm going to fire all these lasers, which generate 10 points of heat, and I have 6 of them, so I'm going to be blowing 60 points of heat in a machine that I think can dissipate 20 per turn. You will literally just explode. You'll be pegging the heat gauge fucking constantly. That's an... I mean, that's like Hunchback 2C kind of, holy shit, what were you thinking? 2 Ultra AC-20s and no armor. It's literally the Ronin tactic of, like, either you kill them in your first salvo or you're dead. You gotta commit.
I can't forgive him, even if it costs my body and soul. He has to be punished. He has to be.
What's wrong with him?
Don't you understand? Monsters like him can't be allowed to live. I'm sure all of you must understand. Everyone will understand.
He's good.
But, you know, technically the Newtype theory doesn't necessarily say that we'll all get along. It's about understanding each other without misconceptions or preconceptions, but that doesn't mean that we'll all agree. And if we don't all agree, we'll find reason to start blowing each other up again. I mean, that's basically what Camille is doing, communing with the spirits and some weird mid-battle seance of basically seeking permission to kill Scirocco. You know, that it's not personal, that Scirocco has to die, that he's too much of a threat. Oh my god. Getting distracted by the no-names, he's being as agile as a jackrabbit. I hope they put the Rizel in Gundam Evolution. Cool design. Zeta Gundam mixed with the Methus, but, you know, not shit. I suppose that technically it would be the Zeta Gundam mixed with the Z2, but not shit. All my favorite mechs are clan designs. Well, they're just better than the Inner Sphere designs. This is known. If I had to pick an Inner Sphere design I like, it would probably be like a post-Word of Blake Jihad design that has clan tech in it. Like the Atlas D3, the Atlas 3. With that fucking clan Streak LRM launcher. Oh, there's also the Nightwolf, another clan design. Advanced Tactical Missile Launchers, ATMs. Pretty much anything named Wolf. Any clan mech with Wolf in the name is just kicks ass. There's also the Mad Dog, or the Vulture as it's known to those Freebirth scum. I was like, gotta finish that quick. Health's getting low, recover's not charged, kill him. That ass! Literally an upskirt shot on a fucking giant robot. A chonky giant robot. Aeg is annihilated, but Axis arrives, and then there's an unending war, and again... Weren't there other choices? Well, yes, but oh god. Does it have to beat you over the head with that every single time? We know, we're just doing this for the sake of completionism.